Through just 10 interceptions and 669 pass attempts. There's the first attempt, and it's picked off right off the hop. Asa Turner. Talapapa, I formation, gets the carry, gets a seam, and he is gone. On first down, Penix drops back, well protected, throws, caught. Touchdown, Taj Davis.
Just mentioned Taj Davis. He kind of shares the position with Jalen Polk. Penix able to come off his first receiver in the middle of the field. He sees that.
How y'all doing today? Good, how are you? Good, great to see you all this morning.
All right. I'm going to get started.
When you guys had a chance to look at the film of the defense, which stood out to you?
From this past game,
Yeah.
our effort was very good. Seeing the individuals run to the ball. I think the other thing that we were very pleased with was the preparation process. Seeing the individuals all during the week apply their techniques, see what they had to be able to do on some respective plays, and we saw them experience some of the success on those plays, something we have to clean up with just some of our tackling at the point of attack.
What do you see? It was obviously Alfonso Tuputala's first career start. How do you feel like he played?
He played very good, and for us, it's something that we knew that's in him and something that he's very capable of, and we know that he's going to be one of the anchors and one of the leaders of our defense.
Anything you can update us on Jordan Perryman?
He's more kind of day-to-day. He has an upper leg injury. Looks as though we're going to be planning for him to be all right.
We hadn't seen, or maybe I missed it, I'd never seen Julius Ervin at corner.
The Julius, the Dr. Ervin.
Position switch, or can you explain that a little bit?
It's just something that you have to be able to manipulate in the battlefield. Something that as a coaching staff of myself, Coach Morale, Coach Juice Brown, we're definitely in the process of making sure you get your best players on the football field. And Juice Brown is one of our more talented players that we have on defense.
So besides Julius doing both safety and cornerback, who are your backup cornerbacks? I know that a couple guys got banged up in fall camp. Do you have everybody available back there behind the starters?
Yeah, and that's kind of some poetry in motion as of right now. I think that the good thing, we'll know kind of tomorrow exactly what we'll be working with just from a number standpoint, just because there have been some guys shipped up, and there are some guys who are slowly but surely starting to come back as well. So it's kind of one of those, what you have is what you can work with, and what we have to work with, we're just kind of putting the different pieces of the puzzle in play.
In terms of Julius,
how much did Ervin have a chance to practice that cornerback position during camp in advance of going out there on Saturday?
There were some things we did from a conversation standpoint a couple weeks prior to, just when a couple of guys had gotten shipped up. Just we're looking at some sub-package things, and we didn't put a whole lot on his plate. I think that it became a scenario where he had to drink from the fire hose in the game. And we kept it very basic just for him, and he definitely has a good skill set to be able to do the things that we need on a play-by-play basis.
it seems like we saw Savell more consistently than maybe any game he's played here. What was your sense of how he did?
Yeah, very good thus far. Now, I think there's some things that we still have to do just from a working standpoint, just from Savell's standpoint, but we're definitely pleased with his effort of making a couple of plays. And I think, as you all know, being able to finish a couple of those plays at the quarterback where you can get some of those sacks, that's something you obviously always want to make sure you can stress and continue to work on.
After reviewing game film, who were a couple guys that maybe popped out to you that you were impressed with?
Well, Asa Turner, and some of it isn't a surprise just because of his preparation. He is probably the one person who was in this building more than the janitors. And he does a great job of preparing, studying film, getting with his teammates, having questions, talking through things. And you can see that the preparation that he put in created the confidence on game day, and it allowed him to be able to play with a lot of swag. From the linebacker standpoint, I think, as we talked, Alfonso Tupatala, definitely one of the great drivers of our defense. Pretty good, and we were definitely very happy with him. And seeing Tuli play and dominate and own the line of scrimmage at the point of attack, that's something that we know that he's capable of doing, playing and play out. So seeing him be able to do that, we're definitely happy with him up front. And Jeremiah on the edge, he is disruptive. And probably one of the things that you get from him as a captain is he's got the great leadership abilities, but he's got the courage under fire. He's going to be able to get everyone corralled, get everyone together, and keep everyone working in the right direction.
It seems like your edge guys were in the backfield a lot, and was it just one of those things where they just couldn't finish, or is that something you can clean up?
No, it was like that sign that you see when you're walking through an office building, slippery when wet. That's what the quarterback was. And what we have to just continue to do is just continue to face and work on the fundamentals, being able to get to the official or the quarterback, settling down so you don't have to make the big hit, just make the sure play. So that there are some things that we'll be able to go through this week to where, and that's the beauty of when you can come out of week one knowing there's some things you can work on. And the best thing about a team is the improvement you make from week one to week two. So we know those are going to be some points of emphasis for us on defense, making sure we can finish our plays, get the quarterback down to the ground, and get the ball carried down to the ground.
Did Tula Gassanoa just cramp up or something? The PA said he got hurt, and I didn't see him get hurt.
Yeah. And a big cramp.
You mentioned the quarterback. How important is that also, considering that Portland State's got another dual threat guy, it looks like?
Yeah, it's critical because I think for us it's going to allow us the opportunity to be able to show how much you learned. Because this quarterback this week, he's more athletic, more slithery, and faster than the one that we just saw last week. So we definitely have a lot of respect for him coming into this game. And he's shown that on film this year already, that he can elude the pass rush, he can make guys miss, and he can get vertical up the football field. And they have some specific quarterback run game designs to where they can showcase some of his skills.
Your first game coaching at Washington, your first time coming down the tunnel on game day personally, was it what you thought?
Yes. You know how you hear the stories just from everyone, from you all, from people on the outside, and you have a chance to be here and you could see exactly what the Purple Rain means. It is awesome. It is great. And you could see why this place is great from a branding standpoint.
Of what you guys got from the Husky position, where obviously Dom and Cam Fab were both going in and out. How do you feel like those guys played?
Very good. A couple of things that we always have to clean up, but from a consistency standpoint, very, very, very consistent. The individuals that they were on did not have a chance to catch a lot of passes, so they were able to cover up some of the receivers that they were going against. And I think on our end, there are some things that we just have to continue to do just when it comes to highlighting some of their skills from a pressuring standpoint or being able to double cover some other guys. But when you have the ability to be able to use Dom and Cam, they're two of the smarter players on our defense. So they can get a lot of the things done that we need to get done.
Does it seem like Dom's almost like a third linebacker when he's in, just with his size and physicality? Yeah,
he's bigger than some of the linebackers. And one of the faster guys on the football field. He is one of your prototypical players that will have a chance to play at the next level just because of his body type, his work ethic, and his skills. The one thing we just have to do with him is just continue to focus in on some of the small little minute details on each play, each given moment, to allow him to be able to go from having a tipped pass and turning that into an interception, or a catch tackle, turning that into a tipped pass. And I think some of that comes just with the preparation process, and I think he's really been embracing that thus far.
How is MJ Ale coming along, where I know that he played a little bit, but obviously didn't start in that game? Where is he kind of just in his process right now?
He's good. He's working into the role to where he's kind of getting back up to the full speed mode. So getting him caught back up to where he was, 2 weeks ago, that's just more time and him enduring the process. The one thing that we like is he's been in watching film. He's been getting with Coach Inoke and doing the things that he needs to do to make sure he can be ready.
1 or 2 points of emphasis this week to clean up after the first game?
Tackling. And that is going to be our major point of emphasis, tackling and being able to get off the field on third down. And some of those happened all kind of at the same time, a couple of them where, let's say, we may have missed 2 or 3 plays or 2 or 3 tackles on those third downs that turned into gained first downs, which turned into a couple of more plays, because I think when we looked at it, there's probably maybe 12 to 15 less snaps we could have played in the game, just making those given plays on third down. And you don't have to do anything out of the ordinary. You don't have to make a big play. You don't have to make a big hit. Just make sure you secure your tackle so you can get off the field on third down. So our biggest points of emphasis this week is going to be the one-on-one tackling in space and being able to get off the field on third down. And that's got to be your mindset. You have to do everything you can to get off the field on third down.
Tuatele missed spring ball, but he got the start. He must have come back in a hurry for you to let you guys see what he's got.
Yeah, and that's something that we really challenged him on, was being able to show us what you can do. We know that there is skill there, and I think we told him coming in, what can you do, what can you show, and do it every down. And those are some things that he did show day in and day out.
Coach, there was a lot of talk this week about Kent State wanting to run 100 plays, and they only ran 68. How much pleasure did that give you to limit them to only 68 plays?
Well, whenever you can keep your offense on the football field and watch them win the time of possession game, that is one of the beauties that I think we love from this system that Coach DeBoer and Coach Grubb and myself and Coach Morrell has implemented, understanding how to win football games. And when you can win the time of possession game, you know that you're going to be in position to do what you're supposed to do. And the other thing to kind of complement that, I think when you stop the run, because they were a kind of a more of a running team than they were a passing team. So if you stop the run on a lot of the first downs, now you kind of make it kind of one-dimensional. And once you get after them enough, now you're in position where you kind of got the pen in your hand. So that definitely did feel very good.
We're also used to seeing, with Jimmy Lake's defense and the way he did their corners, having safeties way back. And, Mish Powell gave up a big play early in the game. Was that a breakdown or just a great play by them?
It was a very, very good play by them, and just some technical things that we can continue to work on just with Mish, him being able to stay on his vertical line. And those are the things that are going to happen, and you want to learn from them. And what better time to learn from them than right now after a victory? And the one thing that we know is Mish is going to be someone who definitely takes that personal. He wants to get it right. He wants to be the guy who's going to make that play at the point of attack.
Coach, I had Mikel Esteen at one career game coming into this, and I don't know how many snaps he was out there before he came up with that interception, but it seemed like he popped. Can you give me his story a little bit, and just for him to get out there and make a play like he did?
Yeah, I think at some point in time, Mikel is going to he's going to hit the lottery. He was on the field for one play. One play, one pick, and that happened a lot during fall camp. The one thing that we think about Mikel is he is what you call a ball hawk. He will find a way to always be around the ball. And there are some fundamental techniques that you always want to clean up as a young player who's working to improve his skills. But the one thing that when he's around the ball, he's gonna have a chance to make his plays. So we've been definitely pleased with his growth and development thus far, and he just got to continue to keep taking steps in the process.
Anything else for Coach Inge?
All right.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Go Huskies.
Thank you all.
How we doing? Everybody good?
So Mike praised the offensive line after the game, honestly, because he wasn't touched at all. Just how important was that to the success of the team on offense?
Yeah, I think, Mike being comfortable let him get off to a great start. So I think, obviously that's a huge part of it every week. The more comfortable he can feel back there and have time to get through his progressions, the better he's going to be. So, yeah, it was pivotal for sure.
How did you assess the line play overall? Troy getting that start at left tackle, Roger getting his first start, obviously. How did you assess the line play overall?
Well, I thought pass protection, they were really good. We got to get better at running the football, though. That's something we just got to be able to get a little bit better. They gave us a few looks that we hadn't practiced, and I thought they made some good adjustments. And so, yeah, I'd like to see a little more production in the run game for sure.
What did you see out of Roger specifically making his first career start?
Roger played, he actually got lineman of the week for us. And really, Roger's issue during fall camp was the big mistakes. We tried to be too flashy on some things, and I thought on Saturday he just did his job. Honestly, it wasn't anything flashy or exceptional, other than he didn't give up any sacks or pressures. And when we were running the ball to his side, he was proficient. So I thought he did a good job of just doing his job and being in the right place. No mental breakups, anything like that. He did a good job.
Is Jackson Kirkland fully ready to go, healthy and all that?
He's close. He's close. We're going to be pushing hard to get him in there in the game this week, so we're still assessing that. But he is looking like a guy I'd be ready to play this week. So that's been a day-to-day thing, literally every day. I know he feels really, really good right now. We just want to make sure he's 100% ready to get out there and play. But we're moving forward that he's going to be part of the game plan.
I know that your running back depth, in the offseason was a concern, and you brought in some transfers, not suiting up. Are you concerned about depth at running back at all right now?
No. Sam will be back in a week, so we'll have him ready to go, and he'll be healthy and good. And Jay's really not in the mix right now, but we're thinking that Rich is getting closer every day. So I think, right now we had 3 guys at rep that were ready to go. Aaron Dumas was ready to play, and when we get Sam back next week, we'll be, I think, full strength.
Also, Mateo Mele went in the second quarter at center, taking over for Corey. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was predetermined. Coach Huff and I had talked about that before the game. Mateo had an excellent fall camp and been pushing at a number of different spots on the line, and he had really earned that to get his way on there. So regardless of what the outcome of the game was, we were going to make sure Mateo got in there and got some reps. And he's a proven player. He's played a lot of ball here before, and we think he'll be part of the mix, for the whole year. So just wanted to make sure he got out there and got a shot to show what he could do there. And at the same time, luckily for us, we were able to get Biney off the field a little bit and get Corey some reps at guard. So there was a lot of things we kind of had worked in to keep guys fresh and try some different combinations, and it worked out pretty well for us.
What difference does that make with the center? Making a change like that, is it different, maybe like a catcher in baseball, just having a different catcher? Is it different having a different center?
There's the schematic piece. No, I think those guys are pretty solid both ways as far as the snaps, and things like that. That's something you're always worried about, especially if you're under center. But for the most part, no, not really, just because they've both gotten so many reps.
What was your view of the Jack Westover hurdle attempt? Obviously, you know that he's an athletic kid, but what was your sense of that play?
I thought he had really bad ball security on that, so I kind of sucked. But no, Westy he was just trying to make a play, and would truly like to see the ball tighter to his body, but didn't surprise anybody. I mean, Jack's a super athletic kid, and there was about 1:50 left in there, and we were just getting ready to go into clutch. So if we were a little closer on the time there, he probably hopefully runs right out of bounds.
How'd you grade out Michael after the game?
Really high, honestly, and not a surprise for those guys in the room, but I'm not a very easy grader, very critical to help them to make sure that they're right in their details. But, the thing that stood out the most after the game, besides Mike's big throws and things like that, never felt like the ball was really in jeopardy. He was putting in the right places, even when reads were difficult and even on a couple screens, putting the ball in a good spot that we weren't in jeopardy of turning it over. And that was one of the things I was the most proud of Mike, just taking care of the ball, making good decisions.
You talked about scripting.
Your fake timeout.
Yeah.
Was that your play that you devised, or Coach?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever devised an actual original play. I mean, you see it somewhere in some facet all the time. I think Northwestern had run kind of some type of version of it, and I know Coach DeBoer and I had talked about that, and so we decided to get that in and work on it a little bit with the guys, and quarterback sneak is base play for everyone, and just having the ability to do that and get their guard down a little bit was important.
You talked about scripting the first series or two of the game and said you had a pretty good idea. How tempted were you to maybe go for a home run ball, considering the reputation you guys have as a kind of a wide open offense?
Oh, I mean, I think you want to find out, that particular game plan, just wanted to see where people were playing. They had certain personnel in the game that we had to make sure before we, wasted a shot, so to speak. You want to be wise about that, as well as make sure, you got the look that you want and make sure the punch lands. And so I thought we did a good job being patient and waiting for what we needed and then take the shot at the right time.
With the pair of fourth down conversions early on, what's the conversation process like with Kalen on the headsets, and how does that decision get made in the moment?
Yeah, we have a chart that we go off of, and so we know what the go policy is for that particular series or that play, and I think anytime you're on the other side of the 50, you have to make sure that everything's clear between the OC and the head coach on what you're about to do. But I'm always ready with the play, so I just know I got to keep my head down and be ready if the opportunity presents itself, and that time it did at a critical point. And I told the offense afterwards that was something they should be excited about, that they had a head coach that believed in them enough to make a critical conversion like that. And really that wasn't a fancy play, right? It was just really more an execution, and that's what I like to see, is that base play, they could get off at the right time and just out execute the defense.
Talk about the wide receivers and their performance. It looked like several of them, they were spreading the ball back around pretty good between the top 4 or 5 guys. Yeah,
they did an awesome job of staying engaged. I think that can be, one of the issues is when one or two guys are getting the ball a ton, there's guys that aren't necessarily as involved, can fall off, but I didn't see any of that. And, they're all hungry to get in there and play their role in the game. So I thought Mike did a great job of distributing the ball. I thought we had a decent game plan as far as getting the ball spread out to different people so they couldn't get a bearing on us. But I thought they played well. They should be a strength of our offense, hopefully moving forward. And I think you saw almost every guy out there that was a major contributor get a touch and get it in open space. So we just want to keep doing that and keep defenses off balance with who's getting the ball, because we feel like we got 5 or 6 guys that can beat anybody on the field. So we just got to keep doing that.
How did you feel they blocked in the running game?
Really good at times, especially JP, extremely physical. There's a couple cut looks that they got us on some outside plays that we got to get cleaned up, and we did that yesterday at practice. But the actual mentality and the execution piece, I thought the perimeter blocking was on the screens to the tailbacks and tosses to them on the outside was really good. And, those guys, that's one of the things that's impressed me about them is there's no guys that are prima donnas out there that aren't willing to block for the team. So that's exciting.
I don't think Mike took a hit all game. Have you ever had a game where quarterback hasn't taken a hit?
Oh, yeah. No, he did. He did. That war play, that quarterback sneak, that was a tough one.
Yeah, in the backfield. It didn't seem like he took a hit.
No, they did a really good job keeping him clean. And, to Mike's credit, too, a couple of times he had to get out of there and move around a little bit, got the ball out of his hand, didn't sit there and let people hit him late in the play, knew how to get down when he got out of the pocket. But, yeah, we've seen that before. And I think that, all the guys up front do a great job, but I think ultimately at the end of the day, the quarterback has to know how to take care of himself and get himself in the right protection checks and things like that. And that's where Mike really excelled on Saturday.
Did the offensive line on the pass protection grade out as good as they looked?
Yeah, they graded out well. There was a few things we got to fix, some penetrations, guys losing late and things like that can always be cleaned up. But, yeah, I mean, it's what you'd expect out of that group.
Similar to that, how did Nate Kaleppo look in his first career start?
He did good. Nate played well. There's some things I know he wants to clean up. but he finished well, you know, played strong, played big. I think there's a difference between guys being big and playing big, and I felt like Nate on some of the runs, even the ones that didn't necessarily hit, he was cleaning some lanes out and doing a nice job of, you know, kind of making his presence known on the inside. So I thought he did a great job, had good energy on the sideline, and played strong. Yeah, he did a nice job.
You know, when you guys took over, everybody knew it was a spread offense and it's going to be wide receiver heavy, and maybe some tight ends left because they didn't think they were going to play as much. But it seemed like you started with 2 tight ends. You used a whole bunch. Even a kid named Wace, I think, was in there way before I would have expected to have seen him. Could you talk a little bit about the tight ends?
Yeah, the tight ends, I think as long as, you know, I've been in this offense, have always been a big part of it, and they'll continue to be. And I think we're really lucky to have a couple of the guys we have between Q and Westy and Culp. They're super athletic, and I think if you fall asleep on those guys and you're worried about all the other receivers, they'll hit you deep. I think, you know, Dev didn't connect on some of the big hits that we had, you know, on Saturday, but he will at some point. And Jack, as we talked about previously, is super athletic, you know, and that's the tight end has always been, you know, one of the focal points, honestly, of our offense that really makes it go. We've never been a 10 personnel team. So those guys are always going to be a big part of the game plan for sure.
Is that about Portland State, just initial impressions of the defense?
Oh, Portland State? They move around a lot. They got some kids that play really, really hard. Just watching them against San Jose, I thought that their kids rallied to the ball. They hit. You could tell they love football. They're well coached. They're in a system that's been in place for a while. They can make a lot of adjustments. And they play, I don't want to say unorthodox, but some different types of fronts and pressures. And it'll be very different than what we just faced this week, and I think it'll be a huge test for us because there's going to be a lot of moving parts. It will be different than Kent State in that way that, you know, bodies flying all over the place, pressures, different coverage looks, a lot of man coverage, things like that. So I think they do a great job. I think they got a solid corner, number 14. He's a really good player. Their nickel, number 5, is an excellent player as well, and they got a backer. Number 0, I think he was number 48 last year, that flies around and was smacking some people in the San Jose game. I thought they did a really good job keeping their football team in the game on Saturday against San Jose, and you know, it didn't turn out their way, but I thought defense did their job and really created some havoc over there.
Mateo rotating in because he earned that playing time. Anybody else that we could see this week that might rotate in who's earned it?
Yeah, I mean, that'll depend a little bit on Jackson, you know, on how much he's able to play, you know, as far as how we'd work that rotation. But Mateo is certainly the first guy in besides Jackson. So I think that between those 7 guys there, that'd be your main 7.
Coach, we saw a lot of different formations and creativity, and some coaches hold stuff back early in the season or when they have a big lead. What's your philosophy about what you're trying to establish with your offensive lead?
Yeah, I mean, we want to make sure that we go into every game plan, you know, ready to win the game, and so we're not going to hold stuff back based on the opponent in the sense that part of our offense is reserved. We're just going to find different ways to do things, and so for us, that was key to make sure that we had enough offense in to answer any of the questions that we might have, especially with some new defensive staff at Kent State and trying to figure out exactly what they were going to do. But I think that we've always done a good job of trying to be multiple in our preparation as far as each game plan so that defenses can't get comfortable and, you know, line up the same way every week and just find different ways to give different looks to the defense, because if it doesn't look or feel the same to them, I think it's a lot harder for defenses to zero in on you.
And with their defense being more pressure and bringing different guys, how much of that game plan can you do for game 2, or is it now totally different?
There's concepts, there's things that definitely were in the game plan in place for pressure and man coverage, just because we weren't convinced that wouldn't happen in the Kent State game. So there's certainly some carryover that way, and we may put a few, you know, additions on it or change the way we did it. But for the guys, hopefully the teaching mechanism is the same as far as them being able to pick that up. And we've seen a lot of that from our defense all camp in spring. So a lot of man principles and pressures and things like that. So I think we'll be in a good place as far as install.
I got home at 2 a.m. on a night game. What time did you get home?
About 2. Yep. we're having some computer issues, so I was trying to get the game watched, and was taking a little bit of extra time. So I was able to kick my heels up for a little bit and then start watching it.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
All right, good afternoon. Again, hopefully hearing from the coordinators is something that's helpful, getting some details and specifics on the things that they can share and want to share. Saturday was just a lot of great moments throughout the last 8-9 months coming together and getting what you'd hope, and that's a W. Proud of our guys, proud of our staff, all the work they've put in, and it emphasized, or I guess it re-emphasized the things that we've worked on, whether it be schematics, fundamentals, chemistry, response to adversity. I just think a lot of those things, those teaching moments, showed up in different ways, maybe not at the extreme level that we may have down the road when we face, especially Pac-12 teams or teams, here in the remaining part of the season. So it was fun to get that first one under our belt. I think maybe even a little relief for some of the guys, just to get that first win, be 1-0, and then see where we're at. The reality of where we're at and what we can be. Always areas to fix and improve on. I think everywhere I've been, I put it to the team this way: from week 1 to week 2, or year 1 to year 2. Those are the biggest improvements that you make. And so, we need to push ourselves to make sure we have a big improvement from week 1 to week 2. And it has nothing to do about the opponent we're playing. It has all to do about us. So excited to see the guys' energy after getting a W, and seeing them take the field yesterday after practice, a short, brief practice. I felt like, our minds are in the right place, and that's we're ready to get back to work. And tomorrow we start that with our planning for Portland State. Questions?
How did it feel? Talk about the feeling that you got being handed the game ball by Cook after the game.
Yeah, that really meant a lot. Just AC in particular, but hearing some of the thoughts that I think he shares with his teammates and this team just means a lot, and it means a lot to me. But that's the whole staff, because the whole staff's involved in all of this, whether it be the organization, the building of our relationships and chemistry. But for AC to step up and do that, I think it represents 6 years that he's been a part of this program. And, I look at it this way, just like I've approached it with the alumni. There's a lot of people that have spent way more time, blood, sweat, and tears in this program than I have. And I'm just fortunate and blessed to be a part of it right now and help build on things that AC and those that have been here for many years have done already.
First game at Husky Stadium, were you a little bit nervous?
Not really, honestly. I mean, I think when you prepare well and you're confident in your preparation, I'm talking about yours as in our team, not just myself individually, but when you know that you've done everything you can and you're in a good spot, you just got to go out there and play and coach with confidence, play with confidence, and whatever the result is, you live with. And I guess that's just the way I've always approached it. And that goes back, maybe not from the beginning of my coaching career, because I think there were times where, even up until 5-10 years ago, you get a little more stress. But I could just go back to times when you sit in the press box. It's like, why sit here and stress and get all nervous? Embrace the energy, embrace the excitement that comes along with being in a stadium, and think about how many people would love to be in your shoes, and whether that's a player or a coach. That's just kind of the way I've got my mind tuned into. And yeah, there's some things you kind of wonder, you're like, I hope we go this way early on, or we can get a good lead, get a good start. That would help the guys out and their confidence. And that obviously happened, but I think it just comes down down to cutting it loose and playing free. And that's the thing I challenged the guys with, all week long, and emphasized it even before we got on the bus to head to the stadium.
I know you've been in a lot of big stadiums, Big Ten and in the Mountain West and all that. Did Husky Stadium surprise you at all in any of the physical elements of it? Like, was it like an echo chamber at times, or what did you think when you coached the first time there?
Yeah, this place is special. And I will say this, I've been here one other game in 2017. I was on the wrong sideline with Fresno State, and, I experienced full-fledged what that was like. And so it doesn't surprise me, of what this place can be, but you can tell that this crowd loves its football. It was awesome hearing the excitement, the energy, and you could feel it. From really the first time we stepped on the field, came out right before game time, and then the kickoff, and then the interception by Asa. I mean, it's just, there's going to be a lot of fun moments, I can tell, in the stadium. And, Husky Nation, just I can't emphasize enough how important they are to our success and the energy that we feed off of.
Michael Penix, how'd you evaluate his performance? Pretty good, obviously.
Yeah, he just, I think, you wanted to get off to a good start for him. But I think Coach Grubb did a great job of really making sure the plan was well understood by everyone, because it isn't just Mike, it's everyone. There was just, I think a presence Mike had from the first plays he stepped on the field, pre-game warm-ups. You can just keep working backwards through the week and just be like, man, this is a guy that's played, you kind of realize he's a guy that's played a lot of snaps at a high level, and you're comforted with that. There were subtle things that happened in the game that a newer quarterback, a less experienced quarterback, they would not recognize, and they would not be in tune to, whether it be adjustments by the defense, things the defense is saying. There were some tough looks that we were not maybe fully prepared for, just because it was new, not because it was just, you didn't see it on film, and Mike was 100% locked in. And the reason he stayed upright, I heard the questions about the offensive line and him staying upright. Yeah, the offensive line executed, but there was also some checks and some adjustments and some identification of where pressures were coming from, where Mike just got us into the perfect look, the perfect protection. And then he knew and trusted the offensive line was going to do their job, stayed upright, stayed in the pocket. You look at our touchdown passes, a lot of them took a little bit of time to develop. There wasn't just the first initial move. It was a guy making a move and then coming out of a break. Mike identifying where those one-on-one matchups were at pretty much every single time and taking advantage of it. So I thought he did a great job. He's just super poised, that experience over all those years. And I'm just glad that he cut it loose, as well, just like I challenged the rest of the team.
In the atmosphere in Husky Stadium, I'm curious, we hear about home field advantages all the time. From your perspective, how much does that matter when a stadium is really on? How much does that affect everything?
It's amazing because this place is crazy special when it comes to home field advantage, and we're going to need that. But I'll just put it this way, I've been on the other side when you go to a place that has a good atmosphere, and you may have a lead, and the other team makes one play, the home team makes one play, and all of a sudden the crowd's erupting. It feels like, you may be up by 14 points, but it's like, whoa, this is not good, but you just, that atmosphere, that energy, that the noise, it's going to create problems, whether it just be the momentum and the vibe, or just even trying to snap a ball, because it's so loud. And so it's a huge impact, that crowd noise and being into it plays. And it goes both ways, right? Our team has to make the plays to get the energy going, but getting some energy and just helping kickstart and jumpstart our team, is super important.
What have you seen from Asa really since you arrived here that made you think that he was capable of having the kind of day that he had the other day?
His work ethic. I swear he's living somewhere in this building. You know, he's got a bed, he's got his dresser, he's got all his clothes somewhere in this building. He is here nonstop, all day, every day. And that's not just this fall. That was this spring. That was this winter. He just is around the building. He's either, doing treatment on his body to make sure that, the next day of practice, he's feeling good. It might be watching film on his own. It's coming up to ask a coach a question about the film he's watching. He's just here working on, he's in the weight room, stretching. He's getting some extra lifts in on his own by himself, that preparation leads to confidence, and then the practicing, and the way he practices, which is hard all the time. Getting out there on the field for that first play was unlike anything he had done in practice, just because he practices that hard and everything he puts into it, the preparation. He had the trust, that receiver was going to be coming to him, and if he did his job, and trusting, I think it was Dom outside of him did his job, that they would be in the right spot. And the reads took him right to where the ball was at, and then he made the play. And that's just fun to see because he's a great person all around. I mean, there's a reason why, AC's, he's going to be AC's kid's godfather, right? Just it tells you what type of person he is.
Coaching said that you guys are practicing like Jordan Perryman is probably going to be fine, but the backups at the corners, do you feel like there's much of a drop-off, if there's any drop-off at all, when a starter has to come out?
Well, we've moved some guys around there. You saw Juice Ervin take some snaps, and we got to keep building some depth. And so I'd be sitting here lying that, you lose a guy like Jordan Perryman, that it just everything's the same. Jordan, just in his recovery process throughout the week, won't be taking as many reps. And so, that gives these guys more opportunities to keep feeling confident, and they know the schemes. It's not about that. It's just trusting their technique and seeing the Portland State offense, that trust that I talked about with Asa, that happening with the corner position now too. So we need to build depth, and sometimes we're hopefully going to look at this as a blessing in disguise. Maybe weeks down the road where we're building more depth in our team.
Likelihood that he plays this weekend?
We are hoping that he plays. I mean, it's definitely not anything that seems to be long term, and so he'll be working day to day through it.
Kalen, in some places, playing time is really hard for guys to get that are down the ladder. It seemed like he put a lot of guys in there in a game that was still 25-point difference. But there's still guys like Toomey Stout getting 3 tackles, and I don't think he played before, and Wace played a lot, and it just seemed like a lot of guys got some time. Are you into rewarding guys like that rather than holding it kind of at a distance?
Yeah, I just feel like with where our roster's at, we need those guys that haven't had a lot of experience on the field. We need them to keep growing. And, some of the plays, maybe we're in special teams. And as much as we say, hey, the special teams, you got to have your best players out there, because those are the big chunk yardage plays, right? That means the ball is kicked every single time, and it goes farther than any other play, most plays anyway. And so special teams is a huge part of it. But seeing those guys go out there and do their thing, it gives you more confidence that, whether it be regular scrimmage plays, or bigger situations, that those guys are going to have the confidence in themselves, and that we can have confidence in them to go out there and play. But we got to build that depth all across the program, because I just feel like that if there's a weakness, I've said this in a press conference before, where we're at right now, we don't have that depth at a lot of spots. And it doesn't mean we don't have the players. It just means that, there's not a lot of experience beyond the starters and the amount of football that they've played.
Back position, kind of one of the similar things Coach Grubb mentioned, you wanted to get it going more. Just kind of how do you go about it as part of that personnel and part of that scheme? Getting the running game going, is that more getting guys
Yeah, I would like to see us average a little more per carry, but I looked at some of the situations we were in. We got halted at the goal line at the end of the game. I'm trying to think. We had a couple short yardage plays, and early on where the box is packed pretty good, and so I think we went to where we could go, and we threw the ball well and successfully, and I think the running game will just continue to evolve. And I thought seeing the complementary of backs, whether it be Wayne, Will, and I thought CD came in and did some really nice things. We're still learning about these guys and what their strengths are, and they're still feeling out the offense. Everyone on the team is new to the offense, but those guys in particular, didn't practice this spring. And so they've had one or maybe two scrimmages of live tackling, to show us what they can do. And so I think it's just going to continue to evolve throughout the fall, with that position. And it's going to get more competitive as well, as we continue to get some of these guys back, like Richard and Sam, and, back as well throughout the rest of the season.
As far as the special teams, had a couple, good-sized returns that came back. And is that something that there was a scheme? Did guys get pushed out of the lane? What was kind of the issue?
Like kickoff return? Yeah, their kickoff return. I think it always starts with the kick, right? And we have specific spots where that kick needs to go. And we expect the ball to be in a certain spot, and it's got to have some level of hang time, for us to just physically run down the field. It doesn't matter how fast you are. So we got to have the kick in a certain spot on the field. And when that doesn't happen, some of the things start breaking down quickly on us, especially if they have a scheme matched up, a return matched up that isn't matching up against where that kick went. And then I think there's some new faces in some new spots just as we move guys around, and you kind of determine, okay, maybe this guy isn't really the one that needs to be in this spot on the kickoff, and that's not what he does best. But we do have to do a better job. I think overall, special teams wise, I pointed out to the team, there's really 4 plays that were plays that really made a difference on special teams, and there was many more plays where we did a great job. You point to we got pinned deep in our own territory after that, and then the fumble on our kickoff return, and there's one more. We had a punt that was short 20-yard net. And those are the 4 plays that we have to fix, because those were plays that were significant as far as like just the special teams and the results. It wasn't like, they just kind of got us there. Like those plays need to be executed a lot better. And so we'll be definitely focused on that, whether it be the personnel that's in those specific spots, or just making sure we continue to hash out and those guys understand what their responsibilities are within the scheme.
Speaking of punter, did McAllister just win the job, or did the other guy, is he hurt or?
No, Jack was the choice for us to punt. So, and Kevin has done a nice job, and Jack, you can see the first punt. I mean, he hit a nice one. It was clean. Our operation was good, and thought he did a nice job, and our coverage was great. It was great to see guys like Roma Dunze down the field doing the things that we've taught. He was right there, and you could tell by the hands that the returner was going to return it, and Rome throttled down and made a nice play. But you could saw the operation time not be as good on the second punt. I think we only punted twice, and so the operation wasn't as good from snap to getting rid of it, and even just a little bit of a protection issue and execution, more technique oriented than anything up front. Got Jack distracted, and ended up with a net of 20 yards. So we just got to be more consistent there. But you see his potential.
An expanded playoff announced last week, and you're no stranger to playoffs.
Yeah.
What was your sense of, what's your opinion on the 12-team model?
Yeah, I think it's great. You get a chance to get in the playoffs. Anything can happen, and I'm like you said, I love the winner go home kind of games. I'm just used to that over so many years in my career, and that's when it gets really fun, gets special, and preparing all year long for those moments rather than just a bowl game, that you're going to where you win so many games, you're in it. There's something special to that. So I think it's gonna be cool for college football, and gives more teams an opportunity, and obviously we looking forward to being a part of that.
After looking at the game film, what were you most pleased with? Maybe some things that need to be cleaned up, and a guy or two that just really popped out to you on film.
I was pleased with our response to any adversity, to any. I felt like we answered their scores for the most part with scores of our own. I thought we did a good job going into the half with momentum and coming out and reestablishing that momentum. Those starts and stops to the each half, I think, are just so critical. And as far as just the play, I think, an area we need to we just got to get the quarterback down a couple more times. And I think that cleans up a few things because his scrambling ability led to rushes and passes, where he kept the play alive. And so we're going to face a quarterback this weekend that moves around. Dante is a guy that I remember seeing in high school. He's from Fresno. Played at Clovis West, and he's mobile, can run around, cause problems for San Jose State. And so we got to do a good job controlling the quarterback there and making sure he doesn't get loose. And, I thought they did a nice job of keeping their eyes downfield and made a couple plays, once we lost that contain. So a couple of those things defensively, offensively, like mentioned, love to punch that ball in, be better on the goal line situation at the end, no matter who's in the game. And, for the most part, I thought we did a good job in our third downs offensively. And probably that would be the other areas, just getting off the field another time or two on the defensive side.
Guys that maybe popped you on film?
Well, hearing you ask questions of the coordinators, I think they mentioned a lot of them, but love seeing our receiving core and many of them getting involved. It's what we've seen in practice and what we feel as far as the direction it's going with that position group. So a guy like Taj Davis, getting a touchdown early is the things that we've seen. I thought they were all very quarterback friendly, just Rome coming back when Mike scrambled to the left and Mike making a great throw along the sideline, but Rome doing a good job of being in a position where Mike could throw the ball. Those are plays that just move the chains that, when the initial play broke down, players make plays. And thought Alfonso did a nice job, running around, making tackles. And obviously Asa did a phenomenal job, getting, not just being there, but making the play and securing the catches and the interceptions there. So I thought, Braylon Trice did some things, just again, finish the play, get the quarterback down and, some of those areas. So that's kind of one guy from each level of the defense that I thought did a nice job.
Wanting to, no matter who's on the field at the end, obviously Dylan came in after Banks left the game. Is there a chance that Sam could get time this, or is it still going to likely be Dylan behind Mike?
At what position?
At quarterback. Is Dylan still going to be the second quarterback coming in no matter what, or is there a chance that Sam could potentially?
Yeah, we would love to get as many snaps as we can for those guys, and the fourth quarter just milks away so fast. There's 11 minutes left, when they get the ball, and then, it's under 8 and all of a sudden, the game's over. And so, no doubt about it. Love to see each of them get more snaps, just getting more comfortable, getting that first game, of the season under their belt. And so, they both deserve it. They both worked hard, and, it's hard, cause you're trying to, put the game away, from a play calling standpoint, but you're trying to let these guys play football. And so sometimes it's hard to let them show their best ball in the last 7-8 minutes of a game as well. So definitely love to get those guys more and more snaps as we go through the next few weeks.
All right. Is that everything, Coach?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Through just 10 interceptions and 669 pass attempts. There's the first attempt, and it's picked off right off the hop. Asa Turner. Talapapa. I formation. Gets the carry, gets a seam, and he is gone. On first down, Penix drops back, well protected, throws, caught, touchdown, Taj Davis.
Just mentioned Taj Davis. He kind of shares the position with Jalen Polk. Penix able to come off his first receiver in the middle of the field. He sees that.
See if he gets another one here. On second down, Davis has a block and has a lane to the end zone. Would have been his first. On 3rd and 15, a run play that goes nowhere. Bradford is gang tackled. Great penetration by the Washington defense. Cameron Fabiculanen. 3 touchdowns on the first 3 possessions for Washington. Off play action. Penix delivers a dart to Jalen McMillan. A first down for the Huskies, a gain of 19. Pop up, perhaps looking for his 20th career touchdown and first wearing Husky gold and purple. Throw to the end zone, it's Odunze. And there he is again. Jalen McMillan. Schley to his right. He'll throw, and it's picked off. Asa Turner. Maybe there's some symmetry here on the year they're marking the 50th anniversary, their one and only conference title. Deep shot taken by Penix. And Jalen McMillan all the way down to the Kent State 10.
Millen in one-on-one situations. Bolden was the closest one to him here. Penix hanging in there. And that's what DeBoer has done. And filled in some gaps in the transfer portal pretty brilliantly, it looks like, so far.
Including with their quarterback. Who locates Jalen McMillan once again. And that does it. Successful debut for Kalen DeBoer as the new head coach of the Washington Huskies. A revamped offense. A defense that held its own as it has through the years. But a lot to look forward to in Seattle.